there's a ton of noise out there. So how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We're here today with Ryan O'Hara. He is the VP of Growth and Marketing at LeadIQ.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
So we're actually recording this at Flip My Funnel. You presented earlier, had a great talk at the sales stage earlier today. This will be going live a little after Flip My Funnel, but we're talking a lot about account-based marketing here in Boston this week, talking a lot about sales and marketing alignment. So for maybe folks that didn't get a chance to make it to Flip My Funnel, haven't heard a previous interview with you, don't know about your LinkedIn video fame, tell people just a little bit of context, who you are, what the team at LeadIQ is up to.
Yeah, so we are trying to help people with cutting down steps in prospecting. Okay. And the way we get our message out, we do a lot of stuff with social selling. We post videos regularly. If I post a video on LinkedIn, I'm sure as hell going to be prospecting every person that engages it. Mm-hmm. And even though I'm a marketing guy, I started in sales. I've always been a marketer that wore sales goggles a little bit. Mm-hmm. And now I'm really trying to do that stuff a lot more. So we put out content regularly. I'll give you an example. If you're thinking about doing some stuff in social selling and you add your prospects online as you email them, let's say you write them a cold email, right? They don't respond. You add them on LinkedIn with a personalized message. When that person accepts your message, you basically have a 6-day window to get in their newsfeed. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, or their timeline, and if you don't get in their newsfeed with something and they don't engage with you, you're pulled out and they never see your content again unless one of their mutual connections shares something. So a big part of this is actually trying to convince people and talk to them about putting content out there. And I think it's really hard for a lot of people to do it. They're shy. They don't know what to do. Yeah. If you're a sales rep, the thing that you have that's really cool is you have a book of business, a book of potential business, and you have the ability to talk to people or you wouldn't be working in sales. Yeah. So that's a big part of what I've been trying to help people with lately is talking about how you can go to market yourself and brand yourself as a sales rep.
Yeah. Yeah. I love some of the videos you guys have been putting out and a lot of it geared towards salespeople. So I've taken some value from it. And I think that there's, whether it's, trepidation about putting themselves on video, or maybe it's a salesperson and they're, not the strongest writer, there are some roadblocks to folks. What are some of the things you encourage salespeople to do to get started? Because if you're going to social sell, you've got to find some way to put out content. Even if you're working with marketing and then publishing it yourself, what are some of the things that you encourage salespeople to do to get started?
Yeah, so it's no secret. I'm going to be really transparent here. And by the way, there are great companies that do this for you. But one easy low-hanging fruit thing you can do is if you're bad at writing or you're bad at speaking or you're bad at both of those or something, use user-generated content. Work with your prospects, work with your customers, go through your existing book of business or people that you want to be customers. When someone writes back an email to me and says, hey, Ryan, we're stuck in a contract with X data provider. I don't go and say, great, I'll follow up with you in 3 months. I say, totally get it. That's cool. We should do a podcast or we should do a 5-minute interview. Yeah. I could rapid fire do something really quick with you and put you out there and you could tag it and your whole network will see it. The thing, I drop this stat all the time, but the average person changes jobs once every 17 months. That means that they're constantly going to be thinking about what's my next job. Even if it's they just joined a new company, they want to get their brand out there. They want to get out there. If they've been there for 6 months, they're probably thinking, all right, I'm confident in what I'm doing. I want to rep the brand and do well. And then the last 6 months, they're probably thinking about their next job. And you have the occasional person that will stay at a company for years. I've been at LeadIQ now for almost 4 years. But there are people out there that you could go do this with. So if you're a rep and you're cold emailing someone and they write back to you and say they're not interested or something, try and do something else to build the relationship out. And I've actually talked to some people that I actually think you guys do this too a little bit, not to like plug your stuff, but like you'll help people with podcasting in these scenarios too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you make a really good point. Collaborating with people on content not only helps you be able to put out content, but what I hear you saying that we do as well is collaborating on content builds that relationship. And it might not lead to closed business that month, but if that person moves or if they move up in their organization or things change, you have an established relationship other than, hey, I'm going to call you again at renewal time, right?
Get this. This is the crazy part too. Let's say you're a BDR, SDR, AE, and you're having a bad month. Your deal that you thought was going to close this month that you forecasted and promised your sales manager completely falls through.
Right. Never happens.
Yeah. Like, you know what you can do? You can actually hit up some of the people that you've done stuff with and backfill your pipeline. That happened to me. I remember there was a month I was working at Dine and I was actually transitioning over to the events team.
Okay.
And I was going to be doing BDR stuff for the events team, but because of that, I got pulled in a lot of meetings. I was nowhere close to my number. There were 4 days left in the month. My manager sat me down and said, Ryan, you're supposed to be leading this team. You're supposed to be doing this stuff. I need you to really focus on prospecting until the end of the month. Can you get to 15 ops? Yeah. And I think I had like one. Like, I'm not kidding. I just wasn't prospecting. I was just doing too much stuff. So I went through and I just went through all these people that I had done stuff with. I had interviewed people and said, hey, can I do a couple Q&A questions and throw it on our blog? Or I'd say, I'm going to do a LinkedIn post about this topic with load balancing. And I wanted to talk about a cool project. Can you give me a couple quotes I could throw into my post? And I just tapped into these people and I was able to hit 15 ops. I got 15 ops in 3 days doing it. Wow. Just like tapping into these people that I had a relationship list that I kept in Google Drive that just listed every person that I had done stuff with so I could remember to go back to it when I was having a bad time.
We can't name names, but today's growth story is about $1 billion tech security firm. Even though this is an incredibly successful company, they've struggled with cross-selling among their top global clients through an underperforming inside sales team. So how did they solve for this? They implemented a multi-tactic program that included display, email, direct mail, global inside sales, and an enablement team. This program guaranteed pipeline conversions and resulted in a 257% increase in MQL to SQL conversion and an almost 200% increase in closed business. So how did this security firm get these kind of jaw-dropping results? The answer is simple. MRP Prolitics. MRP Prolitics is an insights-powered account-based marketing platform with streaming predictive analytics baked into its core. Integrating multi-channel ABM execution on these insights, MRP Prolitics triggers display, email, direct mail, and global inside sales in real time, helping the largest marketing departments in the world deliver the right message to their customers at just the right time. So can MRP Prolitics get similar results for you? Probably. Find out by visiting mrpfd.com or click the link in the episode description of this interview. All right, let's get back to the show.
Right. That's awesome, man. Now, the next step, I think, I've seen you guys do some videos on this, kind of highlighting your product, but I think whether, someone's using LeadIQ or not, the next step that I think a lot of salespeople, aren't doing, if they are getting to that point of producing content, is where do they take it from there? Like, what do I do with, I get 30 likes for the first time, or I get 100 likes for the first time on a post. Now, what do I do? What do you recommend?
Yeah. So the first thing that you do is you need to capitalize on that stuff. I'll give you a couple cool things you can do. And this is why it's a 6 cycle that's amazing. If I put content out there, where it's a blog post, video, podcast, whatever I'm trying to do, and I get 30 likes, first thing I'm doing is I'm prospecting all the people that liked it. And if you work at a sales team where there's territories, that's okay. You don't have to prospect them, but you can help your reps that are on your team with it. Here's the thing you also can do. Take the people that like the posts that are connections to the person you had, email them, and instead of asking for their product, they're not in your territory, or if they aren't a good prospect, ask them if they know anyone that would want to be on the podcast or video or whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like, just do a cycle and then do the same thing with their connections, and you create a cascade of stuff. You have to ask good questions and stuff too. And this, by the way, it doesn't have to be podcast either. You can do just content. You could write something if you're good at writing. Video is very easy because I think that naturally, as a sales rep, it's easier to talk and it's better to look at a camera and look at a customer. If you chisel off 30 minutes a week to just do a 30-minute or 5-minute interview with someone, whether not caring if it's a prospect or a customer, people are going to do it because you can tag them and put it online.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I think a lot of reps struggle with figuring out like, okay, I'm putting out content, but how do I make sure my content's different from everyone else? The one thing, this is a little bit more complicated, but I think it's a really cool thing you can do is actually implementing a brand archetype for yourself.
Okay.
Do you ever learn about brand archetypes or any of that stuff?
No, not personally. So
tell me more. In the marketing world, no one does it in sales yet. And I'm actually working on an ebook on this, but in the sales world, there are all kinds of things that make us love certain brands.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. If I'm like, hey, I'm going to say the word badass, give me one brand you think of that's badass.
Right. Harley Davidson.
That's the perfect example. A badass brand would probably be a rebel brand. That's the brand archetype it's called. Or the outlaw, some people call it. And the idea is that you pick a brand archetype and stick to one and commit to it. Yeah. You can do a lot better. There's a rebel, there's a gesture. That's what we are. We try to make people laugh. Yeah. When we do our brand stuff.
A lot of good stuff with humor.
Yeah, we try to throw in little jokes and try to make people laugh. Yeah. There's a hero, which is like, I'm the best. This is why I'm the best. Muhammad Ali is a good example of that. There's the lover brand. A lover brand is someone that talks about how much they love their fans and their people. They they use intimacy. It's a really nerdy example for a 31-year-old man, but Taylor Swift is my favorite example of this. She's a lover brand. Yeah. Literally half her songs are about relationships that have broken up. Yeah. All her posts she does on Instagram are about like things she loves about her fans. And there's a reason that Taylor Swift is literally like the most followed pop star in the world right now. Yeah. Like Katy Perry's pretty well known, but like when something happens to Taylor Swift, thousands of people flock to back her up on stuff. Right. That same thing doesn't happen for Carly Rae Jepsen or I'm just naming pop people. I don't know them off the top of my head. But like she's a lover brand. If you want to build a loyal following online and find your voice, the easiest way to find your voice is to pick one of the archetypes that you like. Yeah. Here's the other thing. Pick an archetype other people aren't doing. Yeah. So like if I looked at like in the data world, for example, we compete with ZoomInfo and DiscoverWork. They're not gestures. And if they were, I wouldn't have done the gesture archetype for LeadIQ. Right. Like one of them's a Sage brand and one of them, I don't even know what they do for branding, but like no disrespect. They don't have a clear archetype. I don't think with the stuff they do. There's all kinds of things you can do. There's a difference between Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks too. Right. Dunkin' Donuts is an everyman. That's another brand archetype, or the friend brand they call it. It's basically common Joe. America runs on Dunkin's, blue collar, like come here, do this. That's the everyman brand archetype. Yep. Starbucks is an explorer brand. They put all exotic locations, do exotic flavors, and they want people to go try new things. So like if you were doing social selling and picking an explorer brand, your content might be about trying some stuff you did at work and talking about it. Right. If you're doing a Sage brand, you might be teaching lessons. Right. If you're a gesture, you might be making a couple jokes about something that you tried.
Dale Dupree is a good friend of mine. He was presenting, not long after you in the sales stage, and he's very much that rebel archetype in the sales world. He is, says everybody to everybody, his friends call him the copier warrior. He's slaying, high prices and the occasional possessed copier. He's done a great job of that. And I think you're right. They're like marketing folks are thinking about this all the time. Salespeople aren't necessarily thinking about developing that archetype for themselves and putting themselves out.
And the other thing, the other cool part is your brand archetype doesn't need to be the same as your company's. And that's actually how I discovered doing this, because when I worked at Dine, Dine was trying to do a lot of stuff. They now are owned by Oracle, and Oracle's a very sagey brand where they teach lessons. Right. Dine was really trying to they didn't really have an archetype chiseled out, but I wanted to do the brand archetype thing. So I just did the gesture thing at Dine, and it worked great for any campaign I touched. My fingerprints were all over it. Yeah. Whether I was prospecting, whether I was doing a marketing campaign, if I was running search engine marketing stuff, you can do all these different things to capitalize. And the thing it does is it creates a loyal following. Like, I'm not trying to brag, but like people loyally talk about the stuff that we put out all the time at LeadIQ. Right. And we're just a normal company. But the thing that we did is we strategically picked to make a certain archetype. Right. And the idea is that if you pick one archetype, it relates to everybody. There's 12 of them and they all relate to you. And I mean, we could talk about all of them, but I don't want to make it too long. Yeah. But the idea.
I'm looking forward to the ebook now. Yeah. And you said it on the podcast, you have to finish it now.
It's 53 pages deep right now. So I have to trim a lot of it because I don't think people like reading things that are that long unless it's Harry Potter.
Nice. All right. Well, man, that is a great spot to end the conversation. This has been awesome. I know people can find you on LinkedIn. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, follow your stuff? Reach out if they got questions, salesperson with prospecting questions or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, you can add me on LinkedIn. Please use a personalized message because I get a lot of LinkedIn requests every day now, and it's hard for me to know if you're a bot or a human. So just do the personalized message thing. Another thing you can do, we put a lot of cool content out about branding and prospecting and stuff for sales on our LeadIQ blog. So you can go to LeadIQ and check out our blog. We have a lot of cool posts there.
Awesome, man. This has been a great conversation. Thanks for being on the show, Ryan.
Thanks.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.